Hey, it's Steve, you're watching Cash College, and class is now in session. Not bad. I think I might stick with that one. Trying out a new little intro. Today we're talking about the question, is it too late to buy Bitcoin? If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'll be making more crypto content in the coming weeks and months. I really want this to be an unintimidating place for getting interested in crypto, or the rest of personal finance for that matter. I definitely won't be shilling any random pump and dump schemes here. I'll try and keep technical terminology to a minimum, and most of all, I'll just try and talk to you as if I was talking to a friend who was trying to learn about crypto. After all, I was actually pretty scared when I started researching this asset class back in 2019. And from then, it took me an entire full year to get confident enough to invest my own money into it. So definitely do not feel like you have to immediately jump right in. Take your time. Make sure that this is the right asset class for you. So, as of this recording, the price of Bitcoin has been around about $65,000 USD. Now, you can see my crypto portfolio has gained around 35%, or about $5,700 in just 1 month, which I'm certainly not mad about. I'd like to take this opportunity to fist bump all of you who are currently holding crypto. Congrats on all-time highs. But for those of you who are new to crypto, those kinds of short-term gains may have you frothing at the mouth. You may be looking to jump right into this. But hold up. Is it the right time to go about doing this? Or is there even a right time to go about doing this? Well, today we're going to seek to answer that question by going over some important points, and my goal is that by the end of this video, you'll be able to answer that question for yourself. First things first, we need to get our heads on straight. We need to make sure that they're screwed on properly. Because with a volatile asset class like Bitcoin, volatile meaning that it goes up and down a lot, having the proper mindset is so important. If you're looking to double your money in a week's time, this is not the video for you, my friend. You could probably find something else that's a little bit more suitable, maybe a really cringy clickbait piece about how this next altcoin is going to the moon. Yeah, no, we're not about that here. I'm about building long-term wealth that unlocks financial freedom. And I believe if used correctly, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies can play a major role in this. Let me illustrate just how important it is to distinguish between the short term and the long term when it comes to investing. So here we have a chart showing the price of Bitcoin. And what does it look like? Well, it looks like not much has happened, right? From the start and the end of this chart, Bitcoin's basically finished in the same place. It's barely changed. But how long is this time frame? Well, it's about from mid-April to mid-October, so about 6 months. This is short term. Yes, short term. But it doesn't feel short term to us, right? I mean, if you think about it, go back those 6 months, back to around April. Try and remember what you were doing then. It probably seems pretty far ago, right? Well, in the world of crypto and investing, 6 months is a flash in the pan. It's just a tiny, tiny blip of time. Because the magic doesn't happen over short-term time windows, it happens over the long term. Let's see what happens when we zoom this chart out. I think we'll find some magic. Now clearly, we can see, as I said, Bitcoin is incredibly volatile. Look at all those peaks and valleys. But if we cut through all of that noise, what is the truth behind this chart here? Well, the truth is that if we add 4 years to our 6-month time frame to give us 4 years and 6 months total, this would put us back in about mid-April of 2017. You could have bought Bitcoin for somewhere around $1,300. That's an over 5,000% return to today. To put that in context, according to this calculator, if you invested $1,000 in Bitcoin on April 15th, 2017, that would have turned into $53,347 by today. 4.5 years for a 53x. Now that's an extremely rare return in the world of investing, and I definitely want to caution you not to expect that same return going forwards. Bitcoin currently has a market cap of around $1.2 trillion. So if it was going to have another 53x, that would put it at a market cap somewhere around $63 trillion. To put that in context, gold has a market cap of around $11 trillion. And according to Credit Suisse, for the year end 2020, the total amount of wealth owned by every person on Earth was about $418 trillion. So, I mean, unless you think Bitcoin is going to replace a huge chunk of everybody's wealth on Earth, I think another 53x is probably a bit optimistic. You know, unless we're talking about a couple hundred years into the future. Then maybe we can talk about that. Personally, I think the next long-term goal that Bitcoin's going to try to achieve is to exceed the market cap of gold. Now, in order for this to happen, it would basically mean that more people would prefer to hold Bitcoin as opposed to gold. Now, I think that this is a potential reality. Will this actually happen? Well, who knows, but I personally think that it is possible. Now, when would something like this happen? Again, that's anybody's guess. I would probably put this quite far out into the future. I'm talking like 10 plus years, maybe multiple decades, but ultimately, who knows? Some people might think that's even a little bit conservative of me with those kinds of expectations, but hey, I'm okay with being pleasantly surprised if I'm wrong. So in concluding this section of the video, I would say that no, it's not too late for you to buy Bitcoin, assuming you have the proper long-term mindset. If you accept that in the short term, and short term meaning days, weeks, months, even a couple years, anything can happen. Your investment can fluctuate wildly up and down. You may be down on your investment for prolonged periods of time. If you can accept that, I'm personally betting with my money that things will work out nicely in the long term. Now let's talk about what might be the best way to invest in Bitcoin, assuming that we have a long-term mindset. The good news is, I think the best strategy is also the simplest. Dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging means that you take a predetermined amount of money and you invest it at regular intervals. So for example, you could say every month I'm going to take $100 and use it to buy Bitcoin once a month. It's called dollar cost averaging because that $100 will sometimes be able to buy you more Bitcoin or less Bitcoin. And this all depends on the price of Bitcoin, which changes over time. For example, for simplicity's sake, let's just use some easy numbers. Let's imagine in month 1, you're going to invest $100 and 1 Bitcoin costs $100. So that month you can buy 1 Bitcoin. Then let's imagine in month 2, Bitcoin has dropped to $50 per coin. So now with your same $100 investment, you can afford to buy 2 Bitcoins. So after these 2 months, you've now used $200 to buy 3 Bitcoins. This gives you an average cost basis of $66 per Bitcoin. Cost basis is just a fancy term for the average price of the Bitcoin that you hold. So essentially, dollar cost averaging forces you to buy more Bitcoin when it's cheaper and less when it's more expensive. It allows you to purchase more when you might not otherwise invest because you're scared, and then it allows you to purchase less when times are really good and you might be tempted to put a lot more money in. This is basically how I invest in Bitcoin. But I do take this another step further and do something called dynamic dollar cost averaging. Now, that's something that I can cover in a further video, so make sure that you're subscribed. Essentially, this has something to do with the way market cycles play out for a lot of cryptocurrencies. But normal dollar cost averaging is great. In fact, let me show you how great it is. If you would have begun dollar cost averaging just $100 per month into Bitcoin 5 years ago, according to this calculator, you would have turned a $6,100 total investment into over $100,000 today. That's an insane return in 5 years, like absolutely insane. But here's the thing, dollar cost averaging works because it forces you to stick with it. It forces you to think about that long term and cut through the short term noise. This is the secret of its success. If you're truly dollar cost averaging, it means that you invest when times are good and happy, as well as when times are bad and scrappy. I should turn that into a nursery rhyme or something. So again, to answer the question, is it too late to buy Bitcoin? I would say no, as long as you have a long-term mindset, you're ready to jump into this asset class, and you stick with a good plan like dollar cost averaging. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe if you're not already, and comment down below to let me know how you're navigating these markets. Okay, class is over. Now it's time for recess.